Hey everyone, Sinix here, and I'm back with another artist showcase video, and this time I am joined by the wonderful Darren Bacon.
Hey,
And for those of you that might not be aware of who Darren Bacon is, Darren, what do you do for a living?
I work at 343. We make Halo for Microsoft.
Never heard of
And
it.
yeah, I know. And so, yeah, basically, we're a studio dedicated to the development of the Halo franchise. And I'm the lead concept artist. And we just shipped Halo 5 Guardians. And right now, we are working on next stuff.
This is a good little plug. I like how you had the got the
Yeah.
little plug in for the new product.
Yeah, stay
Yeah.
tuned. Let's see, we just launched our latest update. So, go log in and download it.
So Darren, what's your history in the art world? What got you started in your path to becoming an artist?
I started going to art school right out of high school. And I went to an AIS or Art Institute of Seattle in the Seattle area. And I was doing industrial design, and I was super into industrial design and wanted to be like a car designer. And I had some really great mentors there that sort of pointed me towards Art Center. One of them was I was working on a Honda sponsored design project, and that brought me to California to go to an Industrial Design Society of America conference, which happened to be held at Art Center. And when I was down there, I got to see Art Center and all that, and so that's what sort of got me involved in that school. And then I moved to California and started going to school there, and like that's kind of how it got all going.
So
Yeah.
what made you decide to want to be an artist in the first place back when you were a little tiny bacon?
Yeah, when I was a tiny bacon, I guess I was kind of one of those kids that was always drawing and always super motivated by art. And it was just kind of like all I knew in a way. And I kind of stumbled into industrial design just because my parents worked at like Boeing, and they were always they're engineers and sort of science type people who were very uh, into like the industrial world. And so
What? My dad
yeah,
worked at Boeing too.
is that right? Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
and look at us. We both love industrial
Oh
design.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah. So, yeah, for them, they knew like industrial design. But if I had told them I wanted to be an illustrator or something, they would have probably not comprehended that. So I got support to like pursue industrial design, and then when I got to art school, that's when I kind of switched gears and decided to work on video games and stuff. So I showed them. Is the moral of the story.
So after you went to art school, what was the first job you got in the art industry?
My first job was working at a studio in Seattle. It's now closed or shuttered or whatever. I don't know, sold. I'm not sure what happened to it. But Zombie Studios, and a buddy of mine at Art Center had worked there before, and he connected me with the CEO, and I got like this internship deal. So I took a term off from Art Center and came up here and worked for a summer and made like just enough money to kind of pay my rent in Pasadena, which was sort of horrible, but it was cool at the same time because I got all this great experience. And I went back to school and then did a couple more terms, then got another job through the same connection, a friend of mine who helped me get my foot in the door at EA. So it was all kind of revolving around having a buddy that was like sort of looking out for me and helping me out along the way, which was super great.
So there you go. If you want to get a job in the industry, have friends because that is the
Yeah,
best way to do it.
it's true. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you, Jake. So what other studios did you work at then? Oh wait,
Nice.
actually, let me change that. I want to ask
Yeah.
you. I think people will relate better to like, what projects did you work on? Because then they'll be able to say, I know that thing.
Yeah. Okay. So at Electronic Arts, I was working on the Command and Conquer franchise. So I worked on Red Alert 3 and Command and Conquer Kane's Wrath.
Oh yeah, I love those games when I was
Yeah.
younger.
And so after that, I went to the Bay Area, and I got a job working at this company called Image Movers Digital, which was a Disney studio. And the reason why I wanted that job so bad was because Doug Chang was the production designer. And Doug is the guy, he was like the concept art director on like episode 1 and episode 2, Star Wars. He was like one of my heroes. And so I was just so stoked to get a job there. But yeah, it worked out. So at Image Movers, we worked on like a movie, Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey, and then Mars Needs Moms. They were not very successful, and the studio was
Yeah.
ultimately shut down. But
Oh,
it was cool.
you got to work with one of your favorite people.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It was a dream come true. So that was super cool. And then I ultimately rolled on to another Disney project, Tron Uprising, which was
Oh yeah.
an animated TV series, and that was kind of like another similar thing where a friend kind of like word of mouth, I got on it, and it was a deal where it was like Alberto Mieglo was the art director, and I was familiar with him, and I was a huge fan, and so again, I was kind of more or less like begging to get on the show just because I wanted an excuse to work with Alberto. He was moving from, I think he was coming over from the UK, or I don't remember if he was coming from the UK or Spain, but anyway, when he got here, I pretty much like just drove to LA to meet him because I was like super a fanboy. I continued working on the show from home after kind of meeting him and the director and stuff, and did that for a year until ultimately I got an opportunity to get my foot in the door at Bungie and worked on the development of Destiny. And so I was there for about 3 years, and then
And the rest is history.
the rest is history. Went from Bungie to 343. Yeah.
And speaking of working with your idols, you get to work with one of my favorite idols, which is Sparth right now. So
Yeah,
that's
Barth. I
amazing.
mean, Barth again is like sort of like a big motivator for I think why like a lot of people artists work at 343. He's art directing, and it's been a lot of fun. I mean, I really like enjoy getting to go to work every day and
Oh,
have that.
I have a question I'm kind of curious about. Do you have a favorite design, like a particular design that you've done, just for different companies? Maybe just, but that one that stands out the most to you as being one of your favorites?
My favorite design. I think the thing probably been most wrapped up in, like emotionally, has been maybe like destinations, like the moon on Destiny, like where I was like spending like months kind of entrenched designing out
Okay.
the area. But no, there's not like anything in particular. Yeah, not that I can think of. I mean, the this is really sad, but like the Mars Needs Mom spaceship, like like I designed that, but I don't know. I don't know if that should like get.
I'm gonna find a picture of that and have it come up right as you say it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you should like if I want that on my tombstone. You know what I mean?
No, no, it's gonna happen now. We're gonna have a full scale model. Just, you're gonna be
There
buried under
actually
it.
there was a like scale model built of it. It was crazy. It was like 4 feet tall or something. It was pretty funny. It was cool. I mean, at the time, it was like really exciting until I mean, looking back on it now, it's kind of like funny. But yeah, it was like it was fun at the time. I guess that's the neat thing about movies too. I guess is that a lot of times they're like making physical props,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of fun. I don't do that in video games. We don't build physical props of anything. So I guess that was
Really? You
kind of
don't
fun.
get to drive around in that Warthog? I think they have it 343.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, let's see. So, Darren, you've recently started a YouTube channel. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going to be happening on there?
Yeah, the YouTube channel was sort of meant to be this place for me to dump all my process related stuff. But I think it's fun to kind of like try to help out, try to give back. So if I can like share some stuff and then put it online and have a place where it's just kind of archived and people can find it and go there, like maybe it can be at least inspiring. I guess that's what I hope to get out of it.
What else would you like to do in the art world in the future?
That is a good question. I mean, I'm not sure. I think ultimately, like, even if I lost my job tomorrow and could never be a concept artist ever again, or some legal reason, I would still be, I would still
Is
be
there
doing.
something you want to tell us?
Yeah, like if I was banned from ever,
Yeah.
commercially creating art again, I'd be doing it anyway.
Do you think your tastes have changed over the years?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, lately I've been way more interested in science fiction that's kind of more realistic based as opposed to
Okay.
kind of fantasy.
Yeah,
Like,
I get what you're talking about.
you know what I mean? Like, I really like fantasy aspects, but I definitely do find kind of more realistic science fiction stuff kind of more my thing these days, like more and more. Kind of
Yeah.
growing stronger every day.
You're getting old. That's what
Yeah,
that means.
that's good. That could be what it is. I'm just kidding.
The
Spending too much.
imagination is leaving and you're just left with just loving the science of things.
Yeah, yeah. My imagination is leaving. Science is taking over, and like I'm spending too much time on like dystopian tumblers, probably.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with on your YouTube channel, and I think everyone that follows me would probably enjoy it a lot, especially if they're into industrial design stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, you prepared a video for us, so we're actually going to be able to watch some of your work process. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, so here is a sketch I worked on. It was just the other day, and here's sort of my setup of where I'm sitting. So I just have a camera kind of just mounted right overhead, and I have my Surface in front of me, my Microsoft Surface right in front of me there. uh,
Nicely done.
yeah, thanks. And anyway, and so usually I like to have some reference up, and you know, I'm just kind of gonna block in my sketch here. The reference that I was looking at is I had a couple of my other sketches just because I was gonna try to riff off of a similar kind of design thing here, and the theme
Okay.
was like this quadruped walker.
Do you usually have a pretty good idea of what you're going to do before you start sketching around?
I try to, or I do something like I did on the left here, where I scribble something out. So sometimes I'll just do kind of be in search mode, like that little scribble on the left, and when I find something that I like in the scribble, then I'll either kind of scan it and work over it, or I'll just more or less redraw it like I'm doing here.
There's
It's
actually an interesting thing that I've been thinking more and more about, and it applies to mainly watercolor artists, but I see it in a lot of industrial design people too. And I would say it's like the calligraphy is very identifiable of how people just kind of quickly draw nonsense, mechanical nonsense and stuff. And it's a
oh
common term for watercolor, but I just every artist has their own calligraphy, the way they just quickly do scribbly lines and
yeah,
always
that like
produces a distinctive look to all their work.
yeah, totally. I know what you mean. Yeah, just kind of like the person's default shorthand to just kind of get stuff out there.
Yeah, so that's an important little aspect that will be unique to everyone as they become artists. So
Yeah, that's
fun. It's a
interesting.
fun thing to look out for.
Yeah, so that's yeah. I guess my scribbles are going to be unique, but definitely like I do think that like that sort of calligraphic scribbling approach that you're mentioning, like in watercolor and stuff, it's super good to just kind of get it out there. And I think too, like one thing that I regret about this sketch um,
Uh-huh.
is I actually liked some of those neat little calligraphy moments over in my little thumbnail. And
Oh yeah.
so, you know what I mean? Like, so if I were doing this digitally, I would for sure scan in the one on the left too and try to work in some of those like happy accidents, that are happening with kind of that neat little scribble moment.
Yeah, it's also a matter of just having the energy of it that people can relate to, the energy of the scribbles and everything.
Yeah, because it starts to get too tight, and then you don't want to make any mistakes. And it's weird too. Like I've noticed, just having a camera on, also in the same way, kind of like tightens things up a little bit.
Yes.
It's weird.
It is something you have to struggle with.
Yeah, and I'm
It
probably just not that used to it too. I'm sure it kind of gets better with time, but
no.
no,
No, I'm kidding,
no,
it does. It does.
it's all bad.
It's always bad. No, it gets slightly better. It's never quite as comfortable as just working without the presence of anything.
Yeah,
So
man.
I actually wanted to ask you, you were using like ballpoint pen? Is that a common tool for you?
Yeah, I really like ballpoint pens. But usually, just what I like about them is you can kind of sketch on the side and go super light and kind
Uh-huh.
of get really, really, really like low ink on. And I think I just got used to them because I used to always draw with those ballpoint pens and like photocopy paper.
Yeah,
And
and they're free. You can steal them from anywhere.
yeah, yeah, you just go to the bank and just load up.
They have them just lying around at the bank.
Yeah, and it's
You know,
great. And there's all these rich bankers and they don't care because,
exactly.
you know,
Taking it to the one percenter.
yeah, that's
So
my
what is
way.
this?
That's my way of
What
doing
is
it.
this? What is this pen you're using now?
This is the Pilot Hi-Tec-C.
Is it? It looks completely different than how I remember it looking.
Yeah, it's great. I really like them. I mean, I know they're super popular. It doesn't. I think a lot of people use them.
I think the first person I heard about it from was I want to say Fengzu.
Could be. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're cool. I mean, I'm all in. I think it's great too. Just when you want to kind of like start to get the line work in, I mean, I don't know if there's better pens for that. I don't. Not that I found. I mean, I don't do a ton of searching, but I just really like it, and so it's great. I think this one is point 0.4. Is
A
that a
great
thing?
number. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a thing. That exists. I have one in front of
Yeah.
me right now. I can confirm this exists.
All right, cool. I'm not crazy.
So, since people will probably ask for no reason, what kind of sketchbook are you using?
This is the one of those Cottonwood Arts ones.
Okay.
I think it's a John Park thing.
Yeah.
I don't know the whole story there, but I think there's some affiliation, right? Is it? Do you know? Or am I?
I don't know.
Okay,
I'm just gonna
Yeah,
say
Cotton.
yeah and pretend.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's John
no,
Park.
definitely.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
Cottonwood Arts. They're great. It's cool. I kind of like it because it's like a moleskin layout, but it kind of opens up nicely. So you can
Yeah.
kind of
No, it
sketch.
looks like it opens up pretty flat. So
Yeah, so that's cool because I've had I really like the moleskin ones too. They're this horizontal layout. I think they call them the reporter, the moleskin reporter. But
sounds right.
then you have to like a reporter's notebook. It's kind of meant to be folded over, and I don't know. The moleskin ones not quite the same, and also the moleskin one, the plain paper is pretty thin, and so if you start to use marker on it, you're going to be burning through some sheets, and
This
so
is my favorite thing to watch, by the way, is you doing like filling out little tiny details and joints because I'm always like, it's once again like that. You probably have like a whole library of different ways to render out details, like whether they're different types of ridges and things like that. I always find it very interesting to just watch people do that stuff.
yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of just probably burned into my brain somewhere from maybe drawing that kind of stuff so much. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess I mean I'm always trying to figure out the joints. I mean, the reason why I did this kind of quadruped based on my other sketches was because I kind of had an idea of how the movement of the pieces might kind of function in a way. So I'm always kind of trying to think about the function and let that sort of drive everything else.
I think that's one of the most important things if you want to really get into industrial design. Just trying to making sure all the joints feel like they work.
Yeah, and it's like we were talking about earlier, like that the old man approach of being inspired by stuff that works that's not too fantasy.
that's a that's a
I think
joint you can set your watch to right there.
yeah, that's right. All right. So now this other pen is what do we got here? This is
I know what it is. It's a Pentel pocket brush.
okay,
I use this pen religiously. I know what it looks like.
this is the pocket brush.
Just it's a great brush pen. Very wet.
Yeah, it's really cool. The reason why I'm using it is because I'm lazy and my Copic pen is fused together.
Oh,
Like the ink has dried on the inside of the fat nib, and I haven't got out. I need to get out some chemical or something. So anyway, but also this pen is cool too. But yeah, I
um,
mean, it's good. I like it. It's nice to have that variation, and in a way, it's cool, especially if you're trying to fill in like this, because I can go super light, like I did right there, or I can, just kind of put it on its side and fill it in. So it is really quick. But I mean, there is a lot of reasons why I should be using it, and it's your favorite pen. So
yes,
now,
that is the number one reason.
whenever I do this in the future, I'm going to always have that in mind.
Great. Um, so what advice do you have for people that are trying to get into this type of industrial design?
So I think probably the most important thing is to I'd say collect reference and familiarize yourself with that kind of thing. Before getting started on a
Just
sketch. Yeah,
joints all
yeah,
day.
yeah, joints. Yeah, anything hard surface. I have I keep a Pinterest board. That's what I like to use these days. I mean, prior to the internet having all this blogs and resource saving tools, I used to just keep a hard drive full of reference. So yeah, reference is super important, I would say. One of the most interesting things I've ever seen regarding reference is I was working for this guy once, this art director, and it was some theme park work, some freelance work, and he had me come to his studio, and this was in the Bay Area, and I went down to his studio, and he had this wall, no joke, I mean, I don't even know how many feet it was. It was huge. It was this giant wall of books, and the books were these binders that he had filled. I guess they were photo albums.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even describe it. It's like a photo album because I haven't seen a photo album for a long time. But
uh,
he had gone all around the. It was just he was an old guy, and he'd gone around the world to Tokyo and Europe, and taking photos, and like that was his reference, and he had like this like his own massive reference library. And I guess the point that I learned from that was just like, especially for him, right? Back in the day, like reference was so valuable. You can imagine before Blade Runner, if you had gone to like Japan or parts of China or something, taking all these like crazy photos and come back to America, no one would have seen it before.
Yeah, you'd have a huge design advantage over everyone.
Yeah, it's like that was
People would
like,
probably be trying to break in and see
yeah,
your collection.
that totally. And like that was the trick back then. Like the trick was like he who finds the coolest reference wins.
Yeah.
And so I think now the reference is sort of
We're all
so
spoiled.
we're so spoiled and we're just saturated in it. So in a way, you have to just kind of curate it for yourself.
Yeah, filter out all the
yeah,
everything.
yeah, filter out the noise. So if I could like impart any knowledge or wisdom from that old guy, it would be, yeah, we're super spoiled. Illustrators back in the day had to walk, uphill in the snow both ways. They had to like keep libraries of their own reference. So we should just be using all the reference we can.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm sort of, I got kind of on a tangent there about reference, but I'm always kind of like trying to squint my eyes and look at these big shapes. So you saw I just kind of added a bunch of stuff on the top just because I kind of felt like that shape needed to be filled in.
Yeah.
So that's another trick with these things, is just to kind of always be evaluating it and kind of asking yourself questions like, is
Always
this
be
make sense?
squinting. That's what I tell everyone.
Okay, always be squinting. All right. Yeah, always be squinting. And I always do this thing where I like scoot back in my chair and like tilt my head and it looks like I'm falling out of my chair.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's,
no, I know exactly. I not
yeah.
only do I squint, I like to do the like my head 90 degrees to the side,
Uh-huh.
so I'm like falling away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
And
I
you're
got
like,
it. These are all
yep.
the tricks of the trade.
Yeah, that's my jam.
Yep. So it looks like you're pretty much wrapping it up, finishing touches and things.
Yeah. Yeah. This is it.
How do you
Winding
feel
down.
about this design?
It's cool. I mean, I liked it. It's a fun sketch. I love this kind of stuff. I had a good time. It'd be fun.
How often do you do sketches like this?
I try to sketch every week, but it's tricky. I got to find the time, but I like to do it. I feel like sketching is sort of super important, and that I mean, I could always be doing more of it because I always know like as soon as I start sketching, every aspect of like my work goes better. Even if I just sit here and draw like some weird quadruped mech and I'm working on some painting of a landscape at work, like it's just gonna help me. So
So
yeah,
on your channel, are you going to be doing a lot of traditional work or digital work?
I don't know, probably both. I find the traditional stuff is like just fun for me, but I know that digital stuff is obviously where everything's going. So I also like to model too. Like one of the things I like to do a lot is like take a little sketch like this and then model it and paint it, take it all the way kind of through the pipeline.
Are we going to be seeing a lot of that on your channel?
Yeah, I hope so. I think that's gonna have to be the next step.
Okay. I'm going to be looking forward to that.
Yeah, following some of these processes through.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this video with Darren Bacon. And I hope everyone goes and checks out his YouTube channel. There will be a link in the description below, but just in case you don't know how links work, it will be at youtube.com/concept department.
Yeah, that's it.
So once again, thank you, Darren, for coming on and giving us a look into your work process.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been super fun. I hope everyone enjoyed the sketch and enjoys what's going on my channel. Please send feedback, I guess. I'd be happy to, take that into account.
I'll be on there. I'll be sending feedback every
yeah.
video.
Yeah, or funnel it through Sinix Design.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you guys had a good time.
Thank you.